Alrighty. Take two. So we got my new engine control unit here. So it's called Advanced. Even though it's not overly advanced, it doesn't use any composite or anything. And so you can see I added some little like tooltip pop-ups for numbers. So we have the limiter for RPS, because that's a new thing that I added. It's got a couple of things, more like debug info, but you can see we have the same fuel modifier, air modifier, RPS limiter, which goes from 60 to 10, 10 to 60, 60 to 10, whatever. And you have a toggle in here for true or false. If you say want to use it, say have like a low RPM mode and then say a max RPM mode or RPS mode, whatever you want to call it, and you can do that because the throttle override does still function. So you can see 7.5 is its target. So it'll start, it'll go up to about 7.4-ish. It's not perfect, but it does hold it there. It won't over rev it, it doesn't bounce. If you do not have a flywheel, it will bounce. I will show that off in a minute. So if we rev it up, it'll rev up. And then you can see the throttle goes back down. And if you were to put load on it, which there's no load on it right now, but if you were to put load on it, that throttle would go up proportionally to keep the engine spinning at that as much as possible. You can see that it doesn't bounce, no bouncing, no nothing. And this is a button connected to the throttle override on this microcontroller. You push that, you can see the throttle output goes down because that's what it wants to do. That's the PID controller inside of it saying, hey, you're spinning too fast, stop. And then the throttle override is saying, fuck you, I don't care. So then that spins up all the way. You can turn it off and it'll spin back down. Go back down to 30. You can turn it off and it'll turn off entirely. You know, pretty basic stuff. And if we say wanted to connect the throttle, say for the clutch over here, connect that up, everything will be fine. Do that. Spawn it. So now it has some load on it, so we'll set that up to the max. It'll rev up to 30, and you'll notice it'll go back down. Then we can apply a little bit of load to it. See, that's starting to spin, and the throttle goes up to balance it out. See, its throttle is maxed out now because it clearly is not. It's only got 8 of the 1x1 cylinders. It's not going to have enough power to spin a medium generator by itself. You can see this will go up to that 30, and this number will go down. See, it's 0.9 now, and it'll hold that as best as it can. When you do take load off, you can sometimes bounce the limiter a bit, but it's not usually that bad. It doesn't typically bounce very much. But if you don't have a flywheel, as some people don't put flywheels on because they don't want to, or whatever other reasons, doesn't fit. So if you don't have a flywheel on it, oh, whoopsie. I forgot to reconnect that. to here and here. My bad. Yeah, don't forget to do that. You'll see 7.5 is its target, and you can see that it's bouncing quite a bit. We say pause the music for a sec. Yeah, let me turn it up a bit. It's like it's cammed, basically. You can see it's still... You can see that it does bounce off the limiter pretty hard without a flywheel. See, it's bouncing all the way up to 40 when it's supposed to be capped at 30. So, do use a flywheel, very important. This is another cool thing that I found. It actually works for jet engines too. I would have to take this off. And we'll have to do a bit of this to get that up out of the way. And we can just grab, the modular engine component. That'll hold the momentum. So we do that. Do that. Do that. And then grab a torque meter, I guess. We can do that. So we can replace the original with this one. So we have ignition, throttle override. The starter will go to the compressor. Oh, there's an alarm going off. There we go. RPS can be connected to your RPS. Throttle can be connected to your, where's your RP? Nope, that's the wrong one. Sorry. And we'll connect you to fuel manifold. And we will have to set the fuel modifier up to 1, just so that it actually functions. The clutch will go to there, and then you will go to there. And your RPS, something like that, I think. And then throttle, will throw one of those on there too. Bam. Connect that electric up. And we'll also turn the RPS limiter all the way to the top. And I trusted it with a 3x3 flywheel. I don't know if a 1x1 will work. So we're gonna find out if a 1x1 will work. Oh, forgot to turn the throttle up. You can see that's starting to spin up now. All that's spinning up. And you'll watch, and once it hits 60, oh, alright, so it does make a bit of noise, which is not supposed to. So that's because the flywheel's not big enough, so we do in fact need the 3x3 flywheel. Is this still enough space for that? Oh, no, because of the button. Of course. Always got to be something in the way. So we will just quickly swap that out. Is the fuel tank going to be in the way? I hope not. It'd be a huge pain. Nope, it's not. Perfect. And yeah, and sure, we'll put like a wheel up there or something. So now then, U goes to U and U, like that. And then we'll spawn it again. So now it should work just fine. It's because I had it set to 0 was an issue. Ready for it to go. The RPS will climb. There it goes. It starts spinning up U. And you're spinning. So it'll slowly increase in throttle because it is capped at 1. Pretty sure you can set the jet throttle up to like 2 and it'll still work. I don't know if it actually affects anything, but it is possible. And then you will see that when it reaches the 60, there it goes. So it does make one little boom, but then it settles out. You can see even though that one's not quite at 60, this one is. And that one also is. And it just settles. If you turn it down, right, it slows down, speeds, then turns back on. You can do it for as long as it's capable. Okay, and off it goes. Still using a lot of fuel though. But it's not terrible. There we go. So now it's capped at 60. And then throttle override, of course, allows it to just speed up as much as it wants to. And then off it goes. And we turn it off and it turns off, and then that'll slow down eventually, I'm sure. That's going to take a while to slow down, but you get the idea. It also would work with any size engine, so I only showed off the jet engine and a 1x1 cylinder. But you could connect it to any of the different styles of engines. I don't know if it would work on the prefab ones. It probably would work just as well on the prefab engines. But they already have a built-in RPS limiter, so it's not like it's that important. I think that's about all it is. That's all there is to it, really. So if you don't have so again, if you don't have the flywheel, it's going to make a lot of jumps in RPM, RPS, whatever you want to call it. Alright, so could I get that autosave maybe? Yeah, this one. So right, if you don't have a flywheel, it's going to jump around a lot. See, jumps around, jumps, jumps. See, it keeps jumping. Goes way past the limiter. And if you have enough load, it will settle out. Right? Because it'll just be capped at 1. It'll just be at 1, and then it won't jump around. But as soon as it hits that limiter, it will... Yeah, as soon as it hits that limiter, it's going to start jumping around. You see, it jumps pretty heavily. And that's all because there's no flywheel to help keep the momentum going. So without flywheel, jumps around. With flywheel, it doesn't. Now I've tested it on all of the different sizes of engines, so the 1x1s, the 3x1, you know, that very strange engine layout that just kind of exists. Where is it? This one. Yeah, these funky things. Which honestly, I think they're kind of cool. Because they look cool. And then just the normal 3x3, that works for it. So the 3x3 it works for as well. The 5x5 also works. And of course, we'll have to make adjustments for things like air, fuel, all that jazz. Just like you would anything else. And it just, yeah, and it's not, anything crazy, right? Like, if we open it, it's not like there's much going on. Right, in the logic, there's just a lot of number stuff going on. So over here we have the RPS limiter, the constant number of 60, which is for a throttle override, and also the RPS limiter override right here. So when you flip it to true, the on value, which is the RPS limit here, goes through. Then it goes to the display number, as well as gets multiplied by, what are you? The throttle. That's why when you have 0, it doesn't start, because it's every time it goes to start, it goes above 0. So it tries to basically stop the engine from starting, which is why you always have to have a little bit of throttle. Typically 0.25 is pretty good. Sometimes, depending on how high you set the limiter, you can set the base throttle up higher, but like if you set it down to say 10, the throttle would have to be at max the entire time, otherwise your engine would be stalling. And the PID controller, pretty simple, just proportional gain of 1, a clamp to make sure it doesn't go above or below plus or minus 1. That tooltip number is there. This is the ignition right here. So if you look there, that's the ignition. It goes to all of those. This here is the throttle override, which is the same from the original. The functions, there's a slider for air and fuel. Up here is the clutch. Clutch RPM right here. Just multiplies it by 60, because RPS times 60 would be RPM. And then yeah, that's everything. That's all it does. That's it. That's the whole microcontroller. It doesn't do anything crazy. It doesn't like monitor temperature. It doesn't monitor air-fuel ratio. It doesn't do any of that. It just simply goes, hey, your RPS is lower than I want it to be. Do better. Go faster. And of course it has that capped roof of 1, because if you go above 1 throttle, then everything dies and is sad. But yeah, that's it. That's the whole thing. That's the whole microcontroller right there. So if we I guess we can compare it to the original. So if we compare it to the original here, so here's this one. So this is the new one, and then we load the original, and you can see it's a little smaller. It's a decent bit smaller. And it has all the same outputs right here, including for like the starter logic. The only thing is that I've add on the PID over here, plus the tooltip numbers scattered around an extra slider and a toggle. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all there is to it, really. Nothing too complex, nothing too crazy. And it just works. I mean, it just works. There's nothing else to really say about it. Right, it's got a max of 30. This one doesn't have a flywheel. Let's fix that. So we grab our lovely little flywheel, plunk that in there. Engine RPS, we can just connect that to like the first one or something. There we go. Then we don't have to keep fixing it. And there we go. We have our beautiful engine. Oops, too far away. On it goes. goes to 30. And you can apply a little load to it. And as you can see, the throttle slowly increases. We'll see if that manages to... There we go. Yeah, there we go. No rev bouncing, no nothing. And it just works, honestly. Very nice. It works. It does what it's supposed to do. It has very simple features. And it does come with the override, of course. And then it does come with the standard clutch outputs, the starter encagers, all that cool stuff that the other one has. In fact, it's no different on the outside from the original. Like, I can place them side by side, and in the what's it called? In the logic menu, they look no different. They are the exact same, right? Ignition, ignition, starters, starters, throttle override, clutch, clutch, air, air, fuel, fuel, RPS, RPS, RPM output, throttle, and throttle. They're all the exact same. Just this one has a little more going on. Let me connect that to RPM. I suppose I should show off the RPM output as well, just so that you know that I'm not lying. And it's with this that you realize how low Stormworks engines actually rev. So this thing idles at 400 and tops out at 4,000. So there's our limiter there, which is around 1800 RPM. You can turn that off. You can see it'll rev up all the way to 3,600, which is the max that it can go. You see the output, exhaust comes out, is yes. And you can turn it off, and then everything turns off. And all is well. And there we have it. That's it. Complete. I don't think that I'm going to do any more revisions to this. I'm pretty sure it's good enough. Right, the original one was pretty good too, but this one is just a little bit better, you know? So when you look at it, what is this? Okay, that can go away. So we open the workshop here. That is very off to the side. Why can't I see anything? Where's my stuff? Hello? There we go. You see it's right here. So when you open it, this seems like grossly oversized. So you can see it right here. More advanced version. RPS limiter that can be disabled in the properties menu. Throttle override overrides the RPS limiter. If you want smooth operation, give it a flywheel of the right size. Bigger does work, but your engine will bog down a lot more. And it will work for jet turbines, but you do want to have at least a 3x3 flywheel, or possibly multiple 1x1 flywheels, depending on how you want to set it up. And yeah, that's kind of all there is to it. You see that 4 people have seen it already. That's kind of cool. I'm pretty sure I only posted it, what, yesterday? Yeah, literally. Yep, quite legitimately 25 hours ago. So, not bad. It looks like a pair of eyes. I just noticed that. That's the Stormworks logo, but it's only the wings. It just looks like a pair of angry white eyes. It's kind of funny. So yeah, that's all there is to say about it. Yeah. Enjoy. Have a blast. Make some engines. And engines go burr. See you next time.